Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Ian Hates Music Conversation Edition. We are now continuing on with the series of live in-person interviews that Ian Hates Music did at So What Music Fest in Dallas, Texas. I am very happy to announce that today the special guests are Ben and Trey of Animate. Make sure to check out both of their albums, Ever Changer and Still World. And as we mentioned in the conversation, check them out on their upcoming tours with friend of the show Ghost Key, as well as Gideon, and then a Canadian tour with Northlane. You'll definitely want to see them live if you get the opportunity. It was really great talking to Ben and Trey. I would like to thank them once again for being on the show. I would also like to thank Kathleen for setting everything up. Once again, much appreciated. To give you an idea of what Animate are like, we're going to play two tracks, one going into the conversation and one coming out. The first track is going to be Indigo, and the second is going to be White Wolf. Both are off their newest album, Still World. So without further ado, let's get this started. Here's Indigo. Enjoy.
Follow the road, the deadly
So I am here with Event Animate's Ben and Trey. Guys, thank you very much for joining me.
Of course, man. You got that right.
Like, I have a cheat sheet, but it's just there. It's on the background. But thank you guys. It is so what. Have you guys been here before?
Yeah, this is actually our third time playing.
Very
in
nice.
the past 4 years, like 3 times in 4 years. So
Big fans, at least, that keeps you coming back?
hell yeah,
Very nice.
absolutely. Favorite Texas festival, I would say.
What are the other ones? Besides South by, maybe.
There's never I think was it Never Say Never festival in South Texas, and there's just more. This is probably the most like relevant one, so maybe that's why it's my favorite. A lot of friends and whatnot, you know.
Yeah, I would assume this is like almost a reunion of sorts.
Pretty much.
Very nice. So you guys are from a very small town in Texas, right? It's Port Neches?
Port Neches. That's actually.
I was close.
Yeah.
I was close.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Neches.
Neches. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
So we get that all the time, just different
Gotcha.
variations of it.
I lived in San Antonio for a while.
Okay.
And then now I'm stuck in Boston.
Okay.
And we came out here for the show. I love this. I don't know. Are you
Yeah.
guys big fans of, I mean, some people don't like where they live. Do you guys enjoy living in Texas?
I used to hate it, and now as I grow older, it's like it's just comfort. It's just home, you know. So it's like it's nice and warm. I enjoy outside summer activities now.
Mm-hmm.
I used to think I liked the cold until I started touring,
Gotcha.
and it ruined it for me. What would you say, Trey?
Yeah, kind of same. Like touring, I guess, exposes you to all the stuff that you feel like you're missing out on, like all the seasons and whatever. But like coming home, it's like it's nice to, I guess, like at least have heat and good weather and not have to layer up and like.
Exactly.
And I like this. I like the slowness of our, small town. Whatever. I used to hate it, like Ben said, but it's kind of nice to get home and slow down after you're in a busy place like New York or whatever.
Right. Well, what is your scene like in your town?
It's different. Whenever we were just starting to play shows at 16, 17, 18, we had a few bands that were around, and they were doing, some of them played, they were doing things as big as like winning the contest for like the Warped Tour, like playing the Houston date, Mm-hmm. But I mean, as far as where we're from, there's really, Janis Joplin is from Port Neches, Nederland area where we're from. But they're just not that. There's music history there, but there wasn't that many bands around, and it kind of made it different, and I would say a little bit difficult for us to like come out on the scene.
Sure.
We had to travel an hour and a half to Houston to play shows with bands that we even heard of.
Right.
And really, as far as venues go, there's nowhere to really play in our town. We were playing shows in these little halls called a Casey Hall, and it was just literally like a room, and we had to take down all the folding chairs and get a sound system and play it. So that was the scenario we were faced with. So Houston's we kind of adapted and kind of called that our scene, but in reality we're pretty far away, so it was kind of hard to come on strong in the Houston scene, Right.
Starting from the very beginning then, how'd you guys get together, and how'd you even decide that in such a small town you wanted to play this style of music and travel and do all that?
I really I was playing in a band. I got into the alternative, heavier side of music mid-high school.
Okay. And
I was like, hey, I don't know how to do anything or play anything, but I want to play in a band. So naturally I picked up the bass guitar. And I hope no one takes that offensively. And I started playing with a band, and we did tryouts, and Trey came along with a friend, and Trey shredded on every instrument possible.
Oh, okay.
And when that band broke up, Trey lived right next door to a few of my cousins that I went to Christmas with one year, and I just texted Trey because I still had his number. I was like, hey, dude, you mind if I come over and see you for a second, Right. And we just kind of, it was just, that's how things happen. You're just like, hey, dude, you want to start a band,
Sure.
And it wasn't, it's safe to say it wasn't mega serious at first.
Okay.
We were just wanting to play music. And as we got managers and got all that, they were like, you either go for this or you please do it for fun, And we were all like, let's do it, let's go for it.
So then how did you get started in vocals, and Trey, how did you end up doing drums?
I'll answer mine first and give it to him. I literally, like I said, I didn't know how to do anything. So I was like, okay, Trey was a talented player, and I was still playing bass, playing bass, as much as I could. And so whenever I realized that I might have to actually know how to play bass, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to do the next easiest thing. I'm going to scream as loud as I can, and maybe that'll sound pretty cool. So we started doing some cover songs, and I just kind of found my voice, found my sound, started singing, and it just kind of happened. Like it was like I didn't know how to do it, and I just did it in the car and did it on my free time until I felt comfortable doing it,
It's kind of funny. Like at first I was playing guitar. Like I had been playing guitar for longer, and to this day I still think I'm better at guitar. But I literally, it came to, we tried out like a few drummers, I remember, and they just couldn't play like the parts I wrote and stuff, and I was just like, I'm just gonna play drums. Right. And it's like, it's easier to find a guitar player, so that's like literally, I'm literally playing drums because no one else could. Oh, so like that makes it sound like I hate it or something. But no, I love playing drums, but it just worked out in a funny way, I guess. But.
Well, how did you get so talented or so familiar with so many different instruments in the first place?
I started playing guitar when I was like 12, and then drums probably like 2 or 3 years later. Okay. And bass is kind of like, if you play guitar, bass by proxy, you know how to play, Sure. So it's like all the like main things that go into a metal band I could like pretty much do. So I don't know. I never really, as soon as I started learning drums too, I didn't like drop guitar. I still kept playing. Right. So and as well as like writing too. So, and I still write, like Keaton and I write all the instrumentals. So I don't know. I guess I just kept doing all of it is the easiest way to say it.
Well, now with all the instrumentation that you do you also help with the songwriting, or is that all Ben?
Well, I would say structurally, that's all, like, as far, like, instrumentally speaking, strictly, like, structurally, that's all me and Keaton, from everything from, like, the drum beats to guitar parts, riffs, choruses, all that stuff. And then, like, as far as, like, lyrically, vocal patterns, stuff like that, that's pretty much all Ben. Okay.
Ben, can you go into that a little bit further?
Yeah, and Trey's like, I mean, Trey has a hand in everything we do, so it's like, yeah, like, I mean, I'm like, I'll write something, I'll be like, Trey, is that cool? And he'll be like, no, maybe you could do like this. So Trey, I mean, I do initially do everything vocally and structurally with like lyrics and all that, but Trey definitely has a hand in it. Okay. But I mean, that's really that's my baby is the lyrics, and I mean, that's my thing. I love to write. Learning as an amateur vocalist, learning to do, write choruses and write, melodies and stuff. That's something that I've really, I just every year get a little bit more comfortable doing. Okay. Because I mean, it's just like, you're like, okay, how do these screams work over this riff? I mean, that's the just how it is, and it's like, how does it sound cool, but and there's a lot of timing things that goes on with it, a lot of different aspects that I had to just like learn, because like as far as timing goes, I was like trash. I could never be a drummer. It's something that I literally had to learn in the studio. Screaming to a click and everything was something that I was miserably bad at first. I see. And I like, just over the years, just practice, and just doing it over and over again. I feel like I'm pretty good now. Yeah, I would say. But I mean, that's really my domain of things is lyrics and working on vocal patterns, and I really do, nothing happens without Trey's hand in it. I would say that's safe to say.
Interesting. All right. Well, you guys had Everchanger in 2014. You had Still World in 2016. Between the both of you, with writing and structuring everything, was there any difference that you went into the studio for between those two albums? Like, how was that recording process? Did anything change?
I mean, vocally for me, and that's kind of what I like I said, that's what I take care of mostly. I felt a lot more comfortable the gentleman recording us, his name was Randy on the newer record, Still World. He's awesome in all aspects of production and everything. So we had a lot of cool ideas to make just everything kind of hit harder. Yep. Any like crazy lines that I had, he was like, yo, let's embellish on that, blah blah blah. Ever Changer to me felt like, it was my first time doing that. I had all these lyrics and all these crazy words, and I was like, hey, let's just, it just feels like everything felt like a mouthful.
Okay.
And I really like kind of honed in and learned how to write, a song, as far as like, lyrics, and I try to write it as close to like poetry feeling as I can organically. That really, I feel like it's just more organic, and it flows more eloquently on the new record. Okay. And I'm really like, we're about to start working on the new stuff, and I'm really awesome. Excited to keep that keep that forward motion going.
Absolutely.
Instrumentally, I guess first thing is that we like experimented with some new tunings, and just got even lower as metal bands tend to do over time. We just kind of messed with that, and I think the heavier parts got even heavier, and the softer parts got even softer with like even more like, I guess, ambience and like kind of less happening, and I guess I would just say the dynamics or the extremes of both were sort of pushed out. I don't know. I think it really came to trying to pick out what we do best and parts that we like, or even parts that I think it's totally okay to be flashy sometimes, but just make it count more, sure. And not overdo it, but not underdo it at the same time. And just I guess picking what we were good at and trying to like embellish, like Ben said, and make parts stand out. And I think also from song to song and within songs, just make it flow better. Okay. Like make the songs more of just like a whole piece rather than just like a collection of riffs crammed together, if that makes sense. But
no, you can tell there's a flow for sure.
Yeah.
So for this new material then, are you just working on improving what you've done now, or is there some different direction that you're kind of looking and going to?
We haven't started writing yet, but I think with the vision we have, I would say both. Okay. Like it's going to be continually trying to do better at what we already are good at, but also try to branch out a little bit. And we'll figure out what that means, like later. But same thing. Like trying to get better at what we do and what we're good at, and at the same time explore in a way that complements our sound already. But we'll see what happens, I guess.
No, very cool. Well, let me ask you this then. You guys actually have been announced for 2 pretty big tours coming up, right? You've got one with actual friends of the show, Ghost Key. Austin's been on the show before. And then you're with Gideon on that one. And then you're doing Canada for probably the first time, right? And that's with Northlane. Have you done Canada before?
We've been to Canada a few times now, but we've never done a full Canada tour. Okay. We always hit like 5 dates maybe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this time we're doing a full like 3-week or whatever tour, and apparently Northlane just crushes in Canada, and we do too. Oh, really? We like literally do better in Canada than we do in the States.
Really?
It's a weird thing, but we're excited for both of those.
Are there any places that you guys look forward to on that Canada trip? Like, is there anything you enjoy specifically in Canada compared to the United States?
I feel like just the overall attitudes. Mm-hmm. that come to shows are just like they're just excited. They're like more excited. Like US gets tour after tour after tour.
Sure.
And when in Canada, it's not like it's some foreign country. It's just right there. But at the same time, it's like they just don't get as many shows. So it's like they show up, they go hard, like from start to the end.
Sure.
It's just a different vibe, different attitude. And as far as places go, like Vancouver, just the British Columbia area was just like stunning, beautiful.
Oh,
like,
really? Okay.
It's just like, it's just unlike anything I've ever seen. And we've only been there once, and it was literally like 1 degree. So we're excited to be there in the summer when it's not miserable, you
Yes.
know. So it's not going to be a frozen tundra. So I think that'll be cool. I mean, everyone in Canada is just visually pleasing.
Oh,
And just the people are, you know, they're very warm and welcome, you know. They're just they're just very happy to have you.
very nice.
So that's cool.
Yeah, I've been to Toronto and Montreal, but I've never been to Vancouver before.
Yeah, Toronto is like it's a bit more Americanized than the rest of
Yes.
the you know, Canada, but it's still Canada, so it's cool.
True. Well, anything you guys look forward to with touring in general? Like, is there anything that you really like and anything that you really dislike from these tours?
I can say like as the tours grow. I mean, we've done 9 or 10 tours now, and like, I mean, just more so like the shows we're starting to as they get more involved, like the crowds and everything, like, you know, obviously we look forward to the shows. We always look forward to the shows. But I mean, like we've never been a band. We do our best to not get jaded on traveling and being away, because it does. You, like, as touring musicians, you put your life at home on hold every time you leave.
Right.
And we like to keep it fresh. We're like, you know, when we tour with other bands, they sometimes are like, "God, you guys are like such little kids," like, because we always like want to do stuff. We want to go hiking. We'll stop, you know, on the side of the road and just run up a mountain. Like, it's like, and just stuff that like bands do on their first tours. You know, it's like, I remember my first tour type of stuff. But like I mean, we're like, we've been on the road quite a long time now.
Right.
And we still do stuff like that because it's like, you know, it's like acting, you know, it's treating it like you would if you were like a little kid. Just like, you know, it won't lose its shine. You know, it's allure, you know, because it can so easily get stale and just like, oh, I'm up in the van again. I'm sleepy, I'm tired, I'm groggy, you know, whatever. It happens, but you know, I think Animate does a really good job of not letting that happen. We're the little kids of each tour, and that's fine. You know, we'll be little kids for as long as we can. So
why not? Yeah. Now, for So What today, is there anyone, and probably Sunday as well, is there anyone that you guys are looking forward to actually seeing live?
Well, Matt, the guy that's running our sound today, just told me conflicting news, so I'm not sure. I'll have to clarify later. I heard we were playing at the same time as Icy Stars, and they like, I love them, and I know it's like maybe not okay for me to love them, but I just think they're so sick, and like, if I were a girl, I would love Devin. I would scream for him. When
As they do.
Yeah, yeah. I would, if I just saw him walk on stage, I'll scream today if I see him. But I wanted to watch them, and we have some homies just in like a band called Dark Complex, which is they're from Houston, so really close to us, and we've been friends for a while. I like Knuckle Puck.
Sure. Yeah.
They're cool. I'm like not super huge into like pop punk stuff, but I think they're sick. Okay. And I don't know. We apparently, I don't know what time we're playing at 6:35 today, and I don't know if we're gonna be playing at the same time as Icy Stars. But if I don't know, that a lot of our other friends' bands and stuff, sorry, before that, like we just got off tour with like After the Burial and Amur, and they're playing today, so I'll watch them, and they're bros and they're fun to watch.
Oh, that's good.
But we have some other friends that are playing like tomorrow, and we won't be here, unfortunately.
Oh, you're not staying around? Okay.
Nah, we're kind of
Backwards, one of them, because they're from Texas as well.
No, that's like that rap group, right?
Yeah, they're like rap rock or rap metal.
Yeah, I don't happen to know them.
Okay.
But just like, I guess the only people I had in mind is like Era.
Oh
yeah. We're like, those are like our band best friends.
Oh, really?
If that's a thing.
Best friends. No, it's
yeah.
good.
So, but yeah, we're all just kind of like, our tour's over. This is the last thing, so we all kind of just want to go home, you know.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. That's what I'm looking forward to. I don't know if Ben has any.
I'm a little bit excited to see Mayday Parade.
Ah, there you go. Okay.
They're playing, and I'm not necessarily a huge Mayday Parade fan, but the one album I did listen to,
I'll listen to Romantics.
yeah,
right?
and they're doing the 10-year, and it's like, well, I might hear a few bangers that I used to jam, you know, back in high school. So definitely gonna watch that. Like he said, there's just a lot of friends here, so it's just, you know, naturally it's fun to watch your friends play. I just watched my friends in Unity play.
Oh, okay.
And they're from this area, and they're just crazy show. And not necessarily me and Trey, but the other guys in our band really like a lot of the underground rappers here, like Puya and Fat Nick.
Sure.
And I know that their set's gonna be like very crazy. So
sure.
I'm definitely looking
around
forward to
with
watching those guys.
Gotcha.
And I mean, they're gonna be going crazy, the other guys. But I mean, I'm just interested in seeing it. You know, it's a cool concept having an alternative music festival, having that here. And it's like, it's not necessarily crazy. It's just like different.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's going to work pretty cool. It's going to work pretty well.
I'm hoping so. I've been stuck in here for most of the day.
Yeah,
pretty much setting up and stuff. But I want to see Era. Era's playing a local club right next to me next week, so I'll be seeing them then. And then also Mayday Parade. They're doing a Lesson in Romantics. 2 weeks. I think it's in May. So I'll see that as well. So I think today, because I've literally never seen them play before, I'm going to go see Attila.
Okay.
Because Attila's playing at the same time.
Their sets are crazy.
That's what I heard.
They're just nuts. It's just a big party. So it's like they might not be your cup of tea, but I promise you, their live set is anyone's cup of tea. Like it's sick.
My co-host Jackson for the weekly show, I make a soundboard of he's peeking over. I made a soundboard of Franz and actually a Frankie from Amur.
Yeah.
And I play them for him, and he gets pissed off. It works perfectly.
Oh, I love it.
How did that tour go with After the Burial, since you're just finishing up? I'm assuming it went well. I mean, how was the reaction to Amur's new stuff? I just had Ben Leonetti on the show from Lakeshore.
Okay.
So he was talking. I mean, obviously, we love Josh Travis. Everyone does.
Yeah.
But how was the actual
It's hard
reaction?
not to.
Yeah, it really is. He's such a nice guy.
He is. He's a good guy. It was insane. I think Amur like I don't think they were like. I mean, they were obviously in like a weird place because they had a complete member swap, change, and they literally like people that were like, oh, I hate Amur, like 3 months ago were like, oh, that new Amur record though,
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
I think I saw a lot of that. I saw a lot of people that would normally be haters, if you will.
Sure.
Now it's I think it's cool to like Amur again.
Oh.
And I don't think we never really their new record is sick, and I think a lot we're casual fans of Amur.
Oh, sure.
Amur's sick, but I mean it's cool seeing that like they have that hate me kind of persona, like attitude about their band. And it's like some people literally hate them, and then some and I think that the new record just kind of silenced a lot of people because it's sick and it's heavy, and people are just loving it. I mean, people showed up for them too.
Oh, there you go.
On the tour. So I mean, that just goes without saying that like they're back and they're probably better than ever.
There you go.
There it is.
Nice. Well, let me end this with a couple quick questions, hopefully. So one of the segments we do on the show is called Breakdown from the Past, where we try to bring light to a band that was around for a little while and is gone now. So it might put you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah.
But do you guys have any band that you would recommend to people that was around, even if they put out just an EP or an album? Can you think of anything maybe off the top of your heads?
Top of my head.
It's tough. I know. I apologize. It can be someone who broke up too.
Just off the top of my head, there's a band from, I think they're from Nashville.
Okay.
Called As Hell Retreats.
Oh, okay.
And
That's a good
they were so sick. They only did, I think they did like one album that was almost like a different genre. It was almost like, it was kind of like technical and speedy and whatever. And like they their next album called Volition.
Okay.
It was just heavy.
It was a big influence for us.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, just I don't know. I don't know what. Just they'd have like a really raw vocal delivery, and I don't know. I think the reason we probably know about him is because we recorded with Brian Hood for Everchanger, and he recorded them as well, and just I don't know. It's just a super heavy record, and it's really deep too. It's a concept album, so the lyrics are very worth looking into.
Okay.
I believe they're like, I don't know if they labeled themselves as such, but I think they're like a Christian band, but you wouldn't know it from the lyrics.
Sure.
It's a rather like pessimistic outlook on it. But I think it's really insightful and interesting. I would recommend that album.
That's great.
if nothing else, it's just very heavy and sick. So
I've been very into this record recently called Seosin with Cove.
Oh, okay.
And I can't stop listening to the self-titled. And I know they're actually technically they just put out an album with Anthony Green, but I love Cove.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so I would say listen to Seosin with Cove.
It will do. All right, let's end this just with a quick question that I forgot to ask before. So on both of your albums, you have similar artwork.
Yeah.
Who kind of came up with that, and is that something that you're going to continue on in the future?
I think, it's really, I fell in love with that illustrator, that guy. I saw him do a lot of my favorite bands as I got he started listening to this kind of music. And he just like something about the style is like very enticing to me. It's just like very if done right, I think it can evoke the exact emotion that you're putting into the record onto the artwork.
Okay.
It was just once we got signed, I was like look, we have a label that pays for things now, so I want that guy,
Right.
and he's just an illustrator in Australia. His name's Glenn Thomas, and I think that personally, I think that I want to do like one more of that style,
Okay.
and maybe like, I just. If we don't stop, people are gonna be like, expect it every single record.
Sure.
So I think I want to do the next one and kind of do it and have it like the end of an era type thing,
Gotcha.
and then maybe go on to something a little bit different. I still like the illustrating like style of the artwork, and I like how it paints a picture of how the music sounds. I that's huge to me. Visual is just as important as what you hear, like the visual side of arts.
Sure.
So I think that I'm like an album art head, and I think that he painted the picture that I had in my head perfectly with the first two, and I'm probably gonna go with him for one more, and then maybe stop. I just don't know. He gets me, and he understands what I want, and he kills it every time. So.
That's awesome. Very nice. Well, guys, thank you very much for being on
Ian,
the show.
thank you, man. Seriously.
And look, I don't know if Icy Stars is playing with you guys or not, like same time, but I will be choosing you guys.
Thank you.
Hopefully, I will get a chance to get out there.
The girls don't scream for me as loud as they do for Devin.
We'll
so
see.
We'll see.
Jackson has a very high voice. Believe me, it'll work. That's my new thing now, is I just try and get him into the conversation.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
guys, thank you very much.
Thank
Best of
you,
luck
man.
for everything. It's great.
Seriously.
Thank you. Ian here. I hope you enjoyed that conversation live from So What Music Fest. Make sure to check the links in the description of this episode to support the artist. They really deserve it. And just a quick plug here before I leave you. Don't forget that Ian Hates Music also does a weekly show where my co-host Jackson and I talk about all the scene news, new songs, album reviews, album talk, comedy, whatever we want. That's the great thing about having our own shows. We can do whatever we want. And you can listen to that all for free. Just check the other links in the description of the episode and follow everything Ian hates. Don't forget that there's also Ian Hates Music Conversation Edition, which is also free. And in that, I go in depth with the artist almost always for an hour or so. And you can find some great bands in the list there. Just check everything out in the links in the description of this episode. So once again, thank you to the artists. Thank you to So What Music Fest, and thank you to everyone out there listening. And until next episode, I will leave you the way I always do, long days and pleasant nights. Thanks, everyone.